Okay, let's go ahead and begin the demonstration of discussion forum expectations here inside this course. Some things that I want you to be aware of from day one inside of a particular discussion forum postings. Easiest way to earn the full 5 points on a discussion forum is to make your initial posting by Thursday at 11:50 on or before 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time, and 2 quality responses on or before Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. Now, the first slide here, the first 2 slides rather, are going to be posts that I'm going to ask you to stay away from. In a respected class, either a 2,000 or 3,000 level course, the underlying premise is that this is not your first rodeo. This is not the first time that you've taken a respective course, and I'm expecting quality when it comes to the posts that are out there. Now, things that I ask you to stay away from, the first of which is what I call the good job post. Mike, you did a great job on that post. And I have no problem with the student or adult learner coming in and saying you did a good job. However, that shouldn't be the sole component of a given response. I want something with substance that's added towards that respective post. So if you're responding to somebody else's post and you just come in and say, hey, Mike, you did a great job on the post, it's not going to count for points. I want something substantive there that adds to the quality of that given response that's out there. So that's the first thing. Good job. While you can incorporate that into the posting, it shouldn't be the sole thing that's out there. The next thing, don't restate what somebody else just stated. If I come in and say that I'm calculating a mean, which is the sum of the numbers divided by the number of observations, don't just come in and say, well, I added up the numbers and divided by 5. Well, in that particular instance, don't just regurgitate what the previous person said. It's not going to count for points. Again, add value to the respective post. I'm looking for something substantive out there. The next one, you don't know the answer to it, so you just go, well, what do you think about that? Asking just a sole question is not going to, get you the full points when you respond to a respective posting that's out there. Now, if you add something and you end with a question, that's a whole entire different story. But just don't ask a question, hey, I don't know the answer to it, what do you think? Well, that's not going to get you the points out there. So that's something that I ask students to stay away from in terms of responses. The next item, I've been teaching over 25 years. I know what's out there in terms of reading the material. I've done it for many, many years. I want to see if you understand the material. So just don't copy and paste a URL out there. You read it, you provide the summary, and when you respond, because I already know the answer to the question, I'm trying to see if you know and have a comprehension or an understanding of the material. So just don't paste a URL out there and say, hey, everybody, go and read this. Well, that's not going to get you the points that are out there. The next item, inside of a graded forum, the issues with math, and I totally empathize with this. I totally get maybe in high school, grade school, a previous college course, you had a math instructor or a statistics instructor that quote unquote sucked. I get it. But that's not the place inside of a graded forum to say, okay, I haven't had math in 20 years. I just don't get it. Math sucks. Math is the root of all evil. And again, I get it in terms of that. That's where there's a forum out there called Ask the Instructor. You're more than welcome to dialogue with me with any issues inside the class except grades. Grades, we can't talk inside of an open forum. But if it's truly something regarding the content and you have issues and you want to use that Ask the Instructor, which is the first forum that's out there, by all means, post it there. But if you address something with, well, I just don't get it, this is too hard for me, that type of thing, that's not going to get you points. So again, put forth the effort. I'm not expecting inside of a discussion forum that the accuracy is going to be 100%. That's where the dialogue comes in. If you've done something wrong, I will go in and respond, hey, take a look at this, or hey, in your initial post, you did a summary, but I want you to do this type of calculation to see if you understand the material. So do keep that in mind. Again, I do empathize with math being the root of all evil, that type of thing, but it's not going to get you points inside of a discussion forum. The next item. Okay, there's multiple parts to an initial post. So you decide, hey, I need to do 3 during the week. So I'm going to split it into 3 parts. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to answer the first part in one post, the second part in the second post, and the third part in the third post. And hey, I got my 3 posts out there and everything's hunky-dory. Responses to yourself will never count for a response. It'll count as your initial, but it's not going to get you the count to 3 that is going to be needed in terms of the quantity of posts that you have to do during a class week. So again, I refer to this as the double dip post. A lot of students have, and again, I've been teaching for a long time. They say, oh, it's Sunday night at 10 o'clock Mountain Time, and I got to get my posts in, so I'm going to split it up, and I'm going to get to 3. That's not going to work. And we're also going to talk about later in the presentation that if you wait until Sunday night and procrastinate to the last minute, you're going to lose a substantial amount of points relative to that discussion forum. So again, responses to yourself never count for points. I just like to make this clear from day one inside of the class that if you're making responses, you want to do that to another student or what I've responded out there inside of a discussion forum. The responses to yourself will never count. So in other words, if you go in and say, well, you post something and then all of a sudden afterwards you say, well, I forgot to add this, that second one is not going to count as one of your 3. It'll count as the initial, but it's not going to count as an additional response that's out there. Excuse me. All right. Now, things that I'm looking for. At this level of mathematics, the best way to demonstrate to the instructor or your faculty member is by way of example. If we're talking about a respective concept, put an example that supports your findings in it. This is the best way to ensure you get something substantive. Folks, I know you're going to use Google and you're going to do a web search out there and you're going to see a good piece of information that's a summary out there and you can use it. And if you quote the reference, that's fine. But what I want to see is, do you really understand the material? Can you do that calculation? Can you demonstrate to me that you understand the material? An example that supports it is going to ensure you're going to get the full points on that discussion forum. Correction to someone else's post. If you see a calculation out there and you see that there's an issue with it, doing constructive feedback is perfectly fine and is encouraged. Now, you don't want to come in and say I make a post out there and I do some error, and you come back to me, Mike, your post sucked, or how could you have done that error? It isn't sometimes what you say, it's how you say it type thing. Make sure you're using constructive feedback when you do that. So do keep that in mind. Correction to somebody's post is perfectly fine, but you want to ensure that it is proper netiquette that's out there. Don't flame somebody or anything along those lines. Just make sure that you're constructive when making that response. So again, at our level, showing that example inside of your math or your stat course is going to be the best way to ensure you get full credit on a respective posting that's out there. All right. A class week in the NAU online system is defined from, and actually I need to correct that. Let me make sure, give me just a second here. I need to correct this because I want to make sure it is defined from Monday, 12 a.m. to 11:59 to, I'll correct this, Sunday. Let me pull this back up again. Here we go. Switch this around. Okay, now I got the correct information in there. is defined from Monday, 12 a.m. Mountain Standard Time or Mountain Daylight Time to Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time or Mountain Daylight Time. Depending on when you're taking the respective class, it may flip from daylight savings time being on or off. You as an adult learner are responsible, wherever you're located in the United States or the world, to make sure that you are aware of that respective time differential. So if you live in Los Angeles, you're in Pacific Daylight Time or Pacific Standard Time, you need to adjust the time accordingly. If you live out on the East Coast in New York or in Central Time, say in Kansas City or somewhere in Chicago or something along those lines, you need to make sure you adjust accordingly for that time. But it starts 12 a.m. Monday to Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Mountain Daylight Time. Everything in AU Online is based upon Mountain Time Zone. If you live in Arizona where they don't observe daylight savings time, you need to make sure you adjust that accordingly. If you look at the announcements, I have a link out there to World Time Buddy that if you put in Rapid City, South Dakota, and where you're located, it will illustrate the time differential wherever you're located inside the world. So you should be able to figure that out. If there's questions on any of that time differential, please let me know. Now, for full credit on a discussion forum, the initial post must be in on or before 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time on Thursday. The D2L, or the class portal, is the official timekeeper. So if you procrastinate and wait until late Thursday night and it's 11:55 p.m. Mountain Time for that particular posting, and lo and behold, you're sitting there typing, oh, I got to get it in, and D2L, or the class portal, slaps it on as 12 a.m. Friday Mountain Time, you're not going to get credit for that initial post. You have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of that class week to get in your respective initial post. Do not wait until late Thursday night. You can come in Friday morning, send me a private message, say, Mike, Mr. Weeman, my internet connection went down. I forgot about it. I was watching Tiger King on Netflix and I forgot to make my initial post. Whatever the case may be, if it's not there by 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time on Thursday, you do not get credit for the initial post. And for our class, 60% of the total points possible. When each discussion forum is worth 5 points, you lose 3 of the 5 points possible if that initial post is not in by 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. Even if it says 12 a.m. Mountain Time, I have to have a cutoff, and I will hold firm to that throughout the scope of the course. Your 2 quality responses need to be in on or before 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time on Sunday. Discussion forums will automatically lock out and become invisible as of 12 a.m. at the end of the given class week. So it isn't the case where, oh, that discussion forum is going to still be there and I can get in the responses at 12:30 a.m. Mountain Time. The system will automatically lock you out if you do not have the post in there. So whatever's there by 11:59 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time is what I'm going to score on Monday of the subsequent week to provide the feedback. So do keep that in mind. Now, a couple things that I'm typically asked. Some students will come in and say, oh, Mike, I'm going on vacation next week, or I'm not going to be available to do a discussion forum. Can you open it up early? The answer to that is no. Discussion forums cannot be submitted early, nor can they be submitted late. Discussion forums are only open the week that they are listed inside of the class schedule. So you can't do a discussion forum post early. You can't do a discussion forum post late. With homework and quizzes, I give you the entire term or the entire 11 weeks to do it without penalty. Discussion forums have to be submitted the week that they are due. If they are not, they cannot be made up. This is held true by NAU online policy, and it's not up for negotiation. So again, I'm not trying to be rude or harsh, but in the whole scheme of things, a discussion forum is only worth 5 out of 1,000 points possible. It's not the end of the world if you don't get full credit on one discussion forum. Now, if you make a pattern of it throughout the scope of the course, yeah, it's going to significantly impact your score. But coming in on a Monday morning, start of week 2 and say, Mike, I forgot to do my discussion forums. Will you let me do it? The answer to that is going to be no. I'm going to point you to this video to watch it. And again, discussion forums are not allowed to be posted too early, nor are they allowed to be submitted late. And this is the mechanism as well that you earn attendance inside of the class. So it's imperative you're doing the discussion forum anyway. All right. Now, in our respective class, if there is something called a Muddiest Point forum, Muddiest Point forums are simply Q&A or questions and answer forums. They don't have to be responded to. You don't have to do 3 posts inside of it. If you post something out there and it's of a quality response, yes, it will earn you the attendance for the week, but they do not need to be responded to. You don't need to go out there and post, hey, class is going great, or statistics sucks, or whatever, you know, along those lines. You only need to post in a Muddiest Point forum if it is the case that you do have a question. You also have the Ask the Instructor forum. That should be the first forum that's listed out there inside of discussions that you can post any respective question that's out there. So Muddiest Point forums, I typically do not respond to students unless a question is asked. If you go out there and you say, you know, I just don't have time to do the assignments, odds are you're not going to get a response from me inside that forum. If it's something specific to the class that you do have a question on, more than willing to do that. But Muddiest Point forums are not graded inside of the course. And for the business statistics course, there's only one of them, and it's week 5 of the course during the midterm assessment. So that's the only time you're going to see a Muddiest Point forum. The question and answer is typically going to be the Ask the Instructor forum. So again, utilize that. If you do have questions, I do encourage them, but just don't post for the sake of posting out there. It's not going to buy you anything. You should be spending your time anyway on your homework and your quizzes out there to complete those. So use your time wisely. All right, I'd like to go through some scenarios, how a student would earn the full 5 points possible, or how deductions of points would end up happening on a respective discussion forum. Now, student A here goes and makes an initial post, and assuming these are all quality of here, on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, makes a first response on Thursday, makes a second response on Saturday. This student made 3 postings, assuming they're quality, of course, and the initial post occurred on or before Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. This particular student would earn full credit. The 5 out of 5 points would earn 3 points for the initial post, 1 point for the first response, and 1 point for the second response. This student would earn full credit on the discussion forum. Let's go to student B here. Now, I don't like this, what this student did, just as an FYI, but per NAU online policy, this is acceptable to get to full credit on a discussion forum. This particular student went in on one day within a matter of 10 minutes and made their 3 posts. Assuming that they are quality, this student would have earned full credit on the discussion forum. There is no restriction that you have to do it on 3 separate days from an NAU online policy. However, they do need to be distinctive posts. You can't do double dips or triple dips where you basically break it up. But if you're responding to me or doing your initial post or responding to a different student and you do them all on the same day, that's fine. That gets you full credit. The key to this, just to stress, this student made their initial post on or before Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. So this student would have earned full credit. While I don't like the premise of doing all your posts on one day, it is acceptable and you would earn full credit on a given discussion forum. Now, student C procrastinated and waited until late Thursday night. The timestamp on that discussion forum showed up Friday at 12 a.m. Mountain Time. The first response was on Friday. The second one was done on Saturday. This student would lose 3 of the 5 points because that initial post was not made on or before 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. Folks, I don't care if it was 12 a.m. and you come in and say, Mike, I swear I was working on it, and I know I started it before midnight. Will you give me the 3 points back? The answer to that is no. D2L, or the class portal, is the official timekeeper. If D2L says 12 a.m. Mountain Time, that's the time that's going to be used. Do not wait until late Thursday night to make your initial post. If you want to earn full credit on a discussion forum, do it Monday, do it Tuesday, do it Wednesday, do it early enough on Thursday. You have a full 4 days to get that initial post. I cannot stress that enough. So while this student made 3 posts, the student only earned 2 of the 5 points. You do not get credit for the initial post if it is not made on or before 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. So that's why I show this example. And then if there's confusion after I post the first set of grades, I'll point you back to this video. And again, hopefully it's clarified as far as the expectation goes. Okay, student D waits until Sunday night to make all the posts. That's fine, but you don't get credit for the initial post because, again, the initial post wasn't made on or before 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time on Thursday. So while the student made 3 posts, the first one does not count. The student would only end up with 2 out of 5 points because the initial post was not made on or before 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. Next student only does 2 posts, ends up with 2 out of 5 points. The initial post was not made on or before 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time on Thursday. As a result, ends up with 2 out of 5 points. So in this particular instance, would end up with 2 out of 5 points because, again, the first posting that was out there was Sunday at 10 p.m., which was not on before 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. Last but not least, initial post on Sunday at 10 o'clock only gets 1 out of 5 because only 1 posting was made. And that initial post was not made on or before, again, 11:59 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time or Mountain Standard Time, depending on what time of the year it is. So again, cannot stress enough, if you want full credit on a discussion forum, the initial posting must be done on or before 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. If it is not, regardless of whatever communication goes back and forth, if D2L says 12 a.m. or 12:01 a.m. on Friday morning, it's not going to count as an initial post. Again, I always like to make sure students are aware of the expectations from day one inside the class. That way there's no confusion in terms of when I post those first set of scores after week 1 completes. If there's any questions on this policy, don't hesitate to send me a private message. Thanks.